For your Caesar, Cardiff City ride with me for your Caesar. For your Caesar, Cardiff City get litty for your Caesar. She want a Diff Boy, swagger 1 point, yeah, Diff Boy. She want a Diff Boy, swagger 1 point, yeah, Diff Boy. For your Caesar, grab a little something for your Caesar. We the geezers, swagger stone cold like freezers. She want a Diff Boy, she want Starvz, not Fitzroy. She want a Diff Boy, she want Starvz, not Fitzroy. She want a big man, says she want a man from...
Hello and welcome back to CardiffCityWorld, where we're actually late. Oh my God, God forbid the comment section gets ahead of us. But yeah, at least we're still undefeated, so we have that, I suppose. Joining me as always is the amazing Aaron CCFC. How are you doing, my mate?
I'm very well, Evan. It's been a great day. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's been interesting with some news that's come out recently, which I think most people are aware of, which we'll get into. I'm not too panicked as some people are, but no, it's been all right. This is the time now, isn't it? We're all kind of interesting talk gets thrown about. You know, when you're undefeated in 6 games, we've still got a game in hand as well. And to think that we've had 3 call-ups to international football is quite flattering, to be fair, this early in the season. I think it's been deserved, definitely, but, you know, I think even more we could have, really. But, you know, it's really exciting times now, I think. But in the same way, for some people, it's scary, and we'll get onto that. I'm not sure I want to tackle this one first. If you want to start with what you have to say about the show, or if you want to lead right into that.
Yeah, we can lead into that. So obviously it's next week now, so it's a great night. So everything's done behind the scenes. Obviously the sponsors, the match night partners are done. Obviously A to Zen are going to be providing a mental health wellbeing and check-in session as well for anybody that feels they need to go there. There's also an auction done by the sponsor, obviously Classic Shirts, Cardiff Classic Shirts, sorry. So yeah, everything's ready. I think Graham's been preparing his material. You know, the team are ready and we're all ready to go now. So it's going to be a top night, you know, and one that we're looking forward to and growing with. So yeah, next Friday night, it's come around really fast now, hasn't it?
Oh my God, yeah.
Definitely.
It felt like ages away, didn't it? Like when it was first announced, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, it's a week away. I am gutted I won't be able to make it, but you know, other commitments, and that's life. But I you know, as soon as I can make one, I'll be one of the first names down there, guaranteed, because I know there's, you know, probably a lot of people that want to meet me. No, I'm doing it now, but no, I can't wait to meet everyone eventually when we get some more events. The only problem is now, mate, is that you can only go bigger and better, see, and it's going to be, you know, the tickets will end up going faster like they've done this time. I mean, you know, before they used to sell, but not as quick as these ones have, I think. But yeah, it's exciting times, and you know, I'm sure everyone that goes enjoy himself, take loads of pictures for the gram and everything, share them as well in the WhatsApp group. I'm sure we'll have loads of people doing that anyway. And I'm sure, you know, Sai or some of the lads can record a few clips there to share afterwards. And yes, it'll be a great night, I'm sure, and more to come as well. Again, if you're not a member already, we haven't actually got the QR code there today. I might actually flip it over in a second. But if you look down the bottom, this is how you can become a member at patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. You can also become a member through YouTube as well, which is, I believe, this is the one I've done. But your name can also come up in a lovely green color, if not. And it's literally the price of a cup of coffee. So, guys, what are you doing if you're not a member? Honestly, if you're a Cardiff City fan, this is the only place where you're going to get, well, I say the only, it's the best place right now. We've passed 2,000 subs, which is insane. And it's, you know, it's crazy to think that when I joined this channel, I think we only at like 1,200, which is still a big achievement. But yeah, we just come so far. And again, if it weren't for the fans, I know it sounds cliche, but if it weren't for all you people, lovely people commenting right now, and the support you've given us, especially the members, shows and everything, you know, it won't be possible. So thank you all, guys. Thanks to the host as well. But enough sort of like, you know, blabber on about that. Let's talk Cardiff City. So let's say hi to everyone. I can see Rob Ball's in there early. Hurry up, man. Final boss putting his makeup on again. Is he referring to you because you've got that?
Oh, so it's a little in-house joke that me and Rob have got going at the moment on the show. So it's continuing. I think I'm going to have on a shirt as well. So.
If you become a member, you'll get exclusive access to all the. But no, Evening as well, McCain. I feel bad because I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm really sorry. Is it like initials? Is it M. McCain? Am I saying that right? Or McCain? I want to get that right because you comment every time. And I would love to read out everyone's comments, but I wanna get to know how to pronounce everyone's names properly. How you get a rude and a reckless? Don't be so crude and I can't read the whole of that out. You've been drinking brew for breakfast. I feel like this is a poem or a rhyme that I'm missing out on. Love the clash, evening all. Evening to you as well.
Evening.
Butchered that. Here El Ghazi is a new club in the Middle East. How about Rolls and Rinomota? Would have thought Newport would have gone for Joe. I don't know. I mean, is he helping out on one of his former clubs? I can't remember where it was.
He's got an academy at Aldershot, I believe it, isn't it?
Is it Aldershot? Is it?
I believe it's them.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, obviously wish him the best. But I hope one day he gets to come back and maybe be a coach or some kind of further influence on the club. But 15 years, not bad, is it? Really, for Joe Rolls.
It's a great career.
Oh yeah, there's not many that can say he's done 15 years at Cardiff unless he was in prison. Jonathan, evening. Kind of stressful finding out about Simon that we are the biggest spenders in the league. Are we? I thought Luton were they, or am I just mistaken by that? Oh well, then again, quality over quantity, isn't it? Possibly. News must have missed something. No, it's just what we're going to talk about on the show tonight. I think you probably have heard murmurings of it, of certain players being linked elsewhere. Let's just say that's the main kind of news, I suppose, we're talking about. Jumpers for goalposts evening as well. Have we all been crowned League One champions yet? Some people say in the members chat we'll have 112 points by Christmas or something. I don't think that's actually possible, but I'm sure there's a bit of irony in there. Louise, welcome. Evening as well. BBM's Barmy Army. And yeah, he's our manager. Enjoy, go back on that. Here's your first question then, since we got to see everyone. I've heard a few people, again, especially in the WhatsApp group that we have for the members chat, kind of worried about either players getting linked elsewhere or our manager leaving. Do you think that, on your opinions, do you think BBM's here to stay for a while as things go? Or do you reckon if we get promoted today, you're going to have other clubs sniffing around, open to buy him out of his contract? What do you reckon?
So first things first, if you've got players or managers being linked with other clubs, it shows first and foremost that they're doing something right. It shows that Cardiff City is a success on and off the pitch. Which we're all hoping for. And we also got to take into consideration that no player or no manager is here forever. But the days have gone by when we can't offload players or we're sacking managers, or placing them on garden leave, etc. Now we're talking, he's only a few months into his tenure, but people are obviously discussing the ability that he potentially leaves. I think Brian's very clever. Brian sees a project here. I would probably say it's about a 2 or 3 year minimum project. For him, he's sort of lower down the pyramids, but he needs that foundation to build and establish himself and his reputation, and then sort of step up that league. And then the next test is the championship. But we see so many managers in the game that sort of are in a similar sort of first team coach role, step into a manager role, and they fail. And the problem you've got then you end up, and it's a shame. You see a lot of sort of ex-players, especially, but first team coaches, they just can't find another club then at that point. So I'm not worried. You'd be quite silly to leave Cardiff City with the potential that it's got, the young players that it's got, the backing that it's having, and where we all roughly expect to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. And also, if you're a manager that your philosophy is, working with young players, and you've got the potential where you've got certain players being touted out by some of the biggest clubs in the across Europe, you want to be part of their journey. And if you're you sell a player for 20 or 30 million, you want to be that manager that's actually done that. So I'm not concerned one bit.
Yeah, I honestly, great point as well, saying about how it's always a positive thing at first, because look, I know Dylan Lawler will come on to a bit as well, has recently tied down a new 3-year deal, is it?
Yes, I believe an option as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think because he's got about he had only months left, didn't he? Or it was his last season that was triggered an extra a year. But I think, look, the way I see it, and again, I can't speak about the future and know for certain what's going to happen because none of us know. I mean, Christ, especially this club, is never boring, is it? But I think one thing for sure is that we have a history of selling players for, let's say, well too cheaply for what they're actually worth. And I think that because maybe we have a history of selling players or offloading them for cheap prices and not for what they could be valued at, or not playing those players, there's a natural worry, at least for me, thinking that history will repeat itself. But from what you can see from already giving BBM this 3-year deal, and the fact they were so blown away by his interview, you could tell there's already a shift in that way, in terms of like, okay, they're not just looking at getting through this season and getting promoted. They're actually looking at getting promoted, or whatever their plan is, and then actually being competitive in the championship as well. Because a lot of teams, they go up, get promoted, and then their plan is just to survive in the league above. And if we're being honest, right, we saw in the international games, and fair play to Colwell, Capaccio, and Lawler. I thought they did really well considering they play international football. But that level is so much higher than League One, and you're gonna want to keep that tightness of the squad, that kind of the development. By the time they finish League One and whatever position we are, there's no doubt that these youth players are going to be much better than what they started with, whether we go up or not. I mean, I see it's in a world right now, right? I see it hard in any world to think that we won't get promoted just by the idea of the project. I think it would be stupid. I think it would be silly if BBM was to leave after a year, because I feel like this is his forte. It's his thing. He likes the development thing because it's the potential of the fallen giants and rebuilding them. But again, money talks, right? And at the end of the day, we can't say for certain. But what's your thoughts? History has repeated itself at Cardiff. We tend to just sell players for almost nothing until recently. And do you reckon there's a change there, or?
Yeah, and also just touching on a little bit more of what we were discussing a moment ago is, football is sort of, the perceptions change over the seasons. We could go into next season getting promoted and have a stinking part of the season and fans may well have gone. It's, football's a game of opinions and it's a result-driven business. You're only as good as your next result, aren't you? So, regarding players though, I think, being relegated has been a great blessing in the sense that, some of these youngsters would have gone out and had to learn their trades elsewhere, whereas at Cardiff City they've been given the platform. They're now understanding the Cardiff City way. They've got a manager who works with the younger players, so it's almost like a free hit of a season. So by the time that they've matured and where they would have gone out for that, that loan for a year, they've actually done it the Cardiff City way for a year, and they'll be able to step in at the championship almost sort of prepared and probably a little bit stronger and better and wiser for it. So it's a blessing. I never thought a relegation would be a blessing. But, all these sort of things are coming together at the moment. And, all you've got to do is look at the next generation that have sort of hit the first team at the minute and the ones that are queuing up behind them to say, the club are actually getting it right at the moment in time. And you can't really see it, looking, I don't see any negative elements to it, to be fair. I think it's, I think it looks great, and it's great for the future. This is not a 1 year or 2 year plan. It almost looks like a 4 to 5 year plan with Cardiff City at the moment, and it's taken a long period of time. We've heard the ownership group talking about it, and we've never really believed it. But I think with what Darren Purr, some of the academy coaches and that behind the scenes, and what they've brought in, it feels like the club's united and going in the right direction for the next couple of seasons, and that's why I don't think anyone will want to leave that.
Yeah, you can't underestimate how powerful like a nice atmosphere and sort of a good feel about the future that has an impact. I mean, you think of last season, when any team just gets relegated, the last thing you're thinking of, this is a blessing in disguise, we're going to rebuild and go straight back up. I mean, you might think that a few days after you've got over the fact you've been relegated, but that was the last sort of thing I was thinking about when we just got relegated. I mean, it was I think it was about like 4 or 5 games before we got relegated that I said that, we're going down. And I kind of came to terms with the fact, not that I want to be a pessimist that I am, but I kind of came to terms with the fact quite early on that, we're just not good enough to stay up. And even if we did, I just knew we would repeat the cycle again of just trying to survive, really, and then getting the odd purple patch where we end up finishing 12th, 13th or whatever. And I just feel like for a decade or since I support the club, since we come back down from the Premier League, you could tell that there was this pattern of you hire a manager and then he to cover you through the rest of the season. Then you realise, oh, he's doing all right. We'll give him a year contract. And then halfway through, he's sacked. And we need someone else to last us the season, like a caretaker or someone else. Then they end up getting the job. Or they get sacked halfway through the season. So it's, I wouldn't be surprised if we're still paying off the likes of Errol Bullet right now, and it's nice to see that. The last thing I ever expected from the board was to give the new manager a 3-year deal up front. I was thinking, what is happening? Like, they must be smoking something. But to have that level of trust, I guess, or to be able to buy into that future and realize, okay, it's not just going to be a 1-year, one and done sort of thing. It shows that, okay, they clearly have changed. They have sort of sat down and thought, okay, things aren't working, we have to change. And I think the 3-year deal, just starting with that, and the kind of manager we went for, was already a big enough change for an optimistic turn. I'm not sure if I have anything else to add on, because I'm going to move on after that.
I just think, I think when obviously Brian had his interview, I think there was a clear philosophy and a clear plan set out. I know Cardiff City's hierarchy for the past couple of years have tried to believe in managers and these sort of promises that they've been given and how they're going to align it. And, a big one was bringing youth players through, and it's never happened. There was no real trust of the academy, and we were hearing great things from some of the coaches, but it was just it would never, fruition at the first team. But to be fair, Brian's working with the youth teams most days, alongside his first team role. He knows what he's got, he's not scared to play them, and, he's getting the rewards from it, and equally on the other side of it, we're talking about players and interest from bigger clubs. Why would players want to leave when it's the club that they support, the club that they've grown up and they're actually getting first team football? I know that some of the bigger clubs, you would turn your eye a little bit, but if you've got an option of getting your hometown club you've supported all your life promoted and back into the Championship and potentially furthermore, it's a really big selling point, isn't it, of actually staying where you are. And yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, mate. And I want to go specifically more. I see the comments are piling up. I just want to say quick, lads, I will try to get through as many as possible. But to guarantee that your comment does get read out, you can leave a super chat. I'm not, it's not a must, but I will say you're guaranteed to get your comment read out. We'll spend some time on it if you do put a super chat in. Just wanted to get that out there. And also, I want to ask you, Aaron, as well. Are you all right running? Are you able to run 10 minutes over? Because I know we started a bit late. If not, that's completely fine. Just thought I'd ask you now.
That's fine.
Is that all right? Yeah, also, I just want to see if we can get to the full hour. We'll see how things go anyway, because sometimes it's shorter. But yeah, so individual players then, and I'm not trying to be harsh or too praising. We have the likes of Capaccio, Joel Colwell, and Dylan Lawler all made their first team breakthroughs for international football recently. Some handle it better than others, but I think you can sort of tell off the bat, it's clear the difference in quality of the standard international football brings. And I think, the Kazakhstan game even was a big test. I mean, Dylan Lawler making his debut out there, I wasn't expecting that, to say the least. And I thought he slotted right in for me. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. He looked like a player that had been there for years and years. And man of the match in his first international game, playing again around experienced players, and Kazakhstan are not a poor team by any chance. And they had a few opportunities, and he did himself, Cardiff City and his family proud. And definitely something that he could really build on. There was definitely a platform there, but you could just see he was a special sort of player. You see some players at international level, and you think, well, they're going to be okay or average, but he sort of stood out. And the best thing was he was doing it with a smile on his face, and he just didn't feel like the pressure got to him. And I think, that kid's got a great career internationally ahead of him, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you could point to all our players in the first team right now. I mean, half our first team is just a youth team anyway, or even more. And you think the amount of talent we got, but I just think someone with Dylan Lawler, he's what's the word? He's surprisingly composed for a 19-year-old. Youngsters, they're very raw. And when I think of a youngster, I think of someone who's really quick, undisciplined or ill-disciplined in the way that, like, they haven't been coached into or out of bad habits. Like with, you find with previous managers, once they wanted their players who fit their system, you'd find a lot of the youth players, if they did play any, they'd kind of be coached out of their creative ways. And then what you would end up is well-drilled players, but that really take risks. I think is one thing that Dylan Orr does differently to most other centre-backs is that he's willing to play a slightly riskier pass down the middle with pace as well. And he almost expects more of his teammates by being able to sort of like deal with the different level of distribution. I just think that for someone who's already got a composure of someone who's been playing senior football for ages, it's almost unheard of nowadays. I mean, Christ, you think of the ages of players. I think, what was that kid, 16 years old for Liverpool that scored, or was he 15? Or it's like, it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous that the ages are starting at now. And it seems to be the way, football is going. It's just getting younger and younger. I think BBM's probably got ahead of the curve a bit in terms of, basically showing them, look, the youngsters are the future of the club. And, I could go on to Capaccio as well, same thing. Whilst I think he really did struggle against Canada. I mean, Canada, no joke of a team, first of all. And yes, I think, he gave away that penalty. It should have been a penalty. But, you could tell that it's just levels above League One, isn't it?
Yeah, he didn't shirk away, to be fair, did he? You're right, it should have been a penalty, but he carried on. He still played against two very, very good wingers that are probably European standard, to be fair. And, I think they all did, the world of good, And the greatest thing about it is, the Cardiff City players and fans, and they're going to go on to bigger and better things in the sense of their careers, and and I don't mean the level that they're at, but their ability. And I think let's enjoy them now. And when was the last time that Cardiff City actually had 4 or 5 players in that Welsh squad of the Welsh team? We always hear them down west talking about their academy rollouts and what they've got, and I think we've gone about it quite quietly. Gav Chesterfield's done a great job as well, and I just think this conveyor belt now, we're talking about a golden generation. I look at the academy as a whole, and God, there's 12, 13, 14 players you'd expect to be in and around the first team over the next 2 years, and that's scary. We've gone from a team that needed to spend, or we've gone from signing 10, 15 players over a short period of time, but actually we don't really need many. And the greatest thing about it is, we're not just chucking these youngsters in because we're lacking in squad. They're being chucked in because they have the ability to do it, and the manager believes in them. And I think that's the greatest testament to the club and them,
Oh, 100%. I think the best thing we ever did, right? I think I give the board 200% credit for this, and whoever else had sort of consulted with them or collaborate on the project, let's say, in appointing Brian Murphy, is the fact that they realise, okay, we've got a really good conveyor belt of youth players now. We haven't used them for a good couple of years when we should have been. Let's focus on rebuilding around the youth players, and let's actually get someone who's used to developing youth talent. And we could have gone for any other manager. We could have gone for the Dave Chalmers, who I think is a decent manager for Stockport. We could have gone. I mean, who else was linked? I mean, Ramsey was an option. Obviously, that didn't work. There were other options. People saying, "I'll bring Warnock back" or whatever, and all these other names of like past managers or proven managers, but they chose to go for someone with a very niche strength. Let's say, well, I say it's niche. It's a big thing to have youth academy and everything, but it's not. They're not just going over a manager who's got loads of promotions. I think that was the original thing, or they probably want to go someone with a few promotions in their belt. But they went under someone specifically who could work with youngsters because they realized we've got a good youth academy, and I can't not praise the club for that, and it's quite rare I do, but you have to give him credit for that because I genuinely thought, and Sai said it as well, when he made his videos on Brian Murphy, he got me interested in thinking, oh yeah, this, now that we've talked so positively about this BBM guy who no one's heard of before, he's never going to come be linked to the club. But fair play, they actually went out and got him, which I'm shocked. Because he could have gone to any other club, he could have gone to any Championship English club, couldn't he? But he chose to come here for whatever reason, that he just loves the project and the club behind it. But
yeah, well, that's the thing. You're right. Cardiff City have been renowned over the years of getting manager appointments wrong. As fans, we've all had an opinion, and we've been appointing first team coaches. The Omars, the people like that, the Hudsons, the Morrisons, and we've all been really opinionated. But you know what? The club have got this one right so far. And it's not just right on the pitch, it's right off the pitch. It's just everything about Brian just touches, just connects with Cardiff City fans, and epitomises what we expect as a club, what we want to see from the players, and even watching what the players, we've all heard about the the little bit of incidents that have happened, and it's been dealt with professionally, and the players are all buying into everything that he says. It just feels like we're all sort of in the same direction now. And when was the last time this has happened, to be fair?
Yeah, it feels too new to believe that it's true, sort of thing. I'm constantly, and I can see loads of people, especially in the members chat, I always refer to that because I read that like it's a daily news article. The members chat it's so jokes in there, but people, you just tell that everyone's just still skeptical, thinking, okay, well, when's it going to turn? When are we going to get the old Cardiff back? And I think, when people saw the Port Vale game, they sort of like sigh of relief. Oh, thank God, the old Cardiff's back. But no, I think that was a good reality check in terms of like, okay, we still got a while to go, and for sure, and I know that BBM's no fool, and he's just focusing on the next week, the next game, and he's not being silly about it at all. And I've never seen a manager just go into so many other specific details about it and everything. He in the international break, they could have just been drilling everything on the training pitch, but no, they went and said they're going to improve their strength in the power in the gym. And it's like, like, I know that's very specific example, but it's just things like that. It's like, oh, that's different. And, I felt like for so long, it's just been the same old. Doesn't matter what new manager we get that wants to play a different style. We've had plenty of managers that's tried to change Cardiff from a counter-attacking team to a possession-based team, and it just hasn't worked. But yet we look dominant almost every game now, whether we, miss a few clinical chances or not. It just looks complete 180, doesn't it?
No, you're absolutely right, and I don't think we're the finished article, which is the most scariest thing about it at the minute. There's so many. You listen to Brian and how humble he is, and he talks about where we're sort of getting things wrong and we're looking to improve. And I think, wow, if that's the sort of results we're getting and the score lines we're getting, when I feel sorry for the team that comes on the end of the pace and we're going to be providing, because at the minute, and I say this, loosely, is just to feel like no team's anywhere near us at the moment. And it's just great. You've touched on about the training, what mottos and that's been handles over the past week or two, and it just shows that even Brian's been schooled correctly. He's been around very successful managers, haven't he? And that Man City Academy and club is not just great for what players it produces, but also the coaches it actually sends out, And I don't know, I just feel very blessed to have him at Cardiff City, and I'm just going to enjoy it now.
Yeah, honestly, I genuinely thought for the time that BBM would be here, I thought every single press conference, without fail, they would mention Pep Guardiola to some extent. But to be fair, they haven't done that. Oh, like, you're trying to emulate Pep Guardiola's style. I get that, right? But he's his own man as well. He's not just a yes man, and he's not just, following. He's not just copy and pasting from other people. I find a lot of people try to play the possessions of game, and it just does not work. I felt like even maybe the Wales versus Canada game, we tried to do that, and the reason it didn't work is because Canada were aware of what we wanted to do, and they just didn't play to it. But I think BBM is probably adaptable enough and flexible enough to change, depending on opponents. And we'll jump to side in just a second, but after that we'll go through some more comments and leading up to our game on the weekend against Stockport, which I actually am going to be able to watch this time. I won't be working, but yeah, we'll see you in just a second.
This episode of Cardiff City World is brought to you by Coral, the proud sponsor of the TalkSport Fan Network, here for all kinds of fans. For the armchair experts, whether you're constantly negative, overly positive, or maybe even the instant over-the-top reaction social media guy or girl. For the football fashionistas still clinging to the legendary Terrace fashion of yesteryear, or the best retro gear from Michael Thorne. The nostalgia merchants dreaming of the old lady Ninian Park, or still celebrating Campbell's goal in the Millennium Stadium. Whatever kind of fan you are, with Coral's free-to-play reward shaker, with a guaranteed daily reward or offer throughout the season, simply shake your phone to win. Over 18s only, maximum one reward or offer per player per day, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Reward restrictions and requirements and other T's and C's apply. For more information on safer gambling, visit gambleaware.org.
All right, and we are back. Well, we've got a bunch of comments here, so I'll try and get through as many as possible. Again, super chat if you want your comment to be guaranteed read out and spend some time on it. But where should we go from? Christ, we have got quite a few comments. Anyway, McCain just said just right the first time. There we go. So from now on, I know. Evening, Steve. Come on, City. Yes. BBM's Barney, read that one. I'm going back a bit of the chat now to catch up on everything. You'll never notice how much I love you, Brian Barry Murphy. Don't we all at the moment? And as soon as he does as soon as he gets his first loss, I'm sure there'll be people screaming for his head and for him to. There'll be someone out there for sure that just he's no. McCain says he don't want to do it. I feel like sometimes I read comments that other people are replying to others, but oh right, okay. So he doesn't want to do a Russell Martin or Nathan Jones and go Prem too quickly. BBM is here 2 years, I reckon. What do you think? Do you reckon he's in for the long run?
I do, as long as there's progression.
Oh yeah, see, that's the thing.
As long as we're building year on year, as long as there's a development and a plan of improvement, I think he stays.
Yeah. Do you think it might be a case that, well, I'm not saying he would walk out, but do you think there's more chance of him leaving or him getting sacked? That's a really weird question you don't have to answer, but
probably one of the first managers in a very long time. I can't think of any more where clubs would approach us. I can't see him being a sort of manager, because even if the results are not going the right way, and we're sort of mid-table or wherever in whatever league we're in, I think his turnover and the way he's getting Cardiff City going, you'd have to invest quite a bit to find another manager to be able to do that. To be fair.
Yeah, exactly, mate. But Louis says Aaron's got a Weekend Defender shirt on. Nice one. Have you?
As always.
Yeah, I couldn't quite see though. My screen's a bit pixelated because my signal isn't the best. I'm probably like 8 bits on the screen as well. There we go. Good to McCage as well. Oh, hang on. He's always locked out. Oh, those gates behind you are always locked, mate. You're never allowed in the ground. That's a shame, isn't it? Will Reindorf ever play the first team again under BBM, or will we just loan him out and run his deal down? What do you reckon?
Reindorf has got a lot of ability, but I don't feel he's the sort of player that BBM would play with. I just think he's a raw, number 9, and gets goals. Watch him at the 23s. I think he's got a lot of goals. He hasn't hit the road. I know he had that goal for Newport, but he hasn't sort of lit up the division. And between Newport and ourselves, there's quite a big gap as well. Again, so unless he makes a huge upturn in performances, I can't really see that, to be fair. But I think he's a very good player. I just don't think he's probably of the ilk of what Cardiff City are looking for. You look at what our number 9s are, the Salix and that of the world. It's a big gulf there.
I'm just thinking now, off the top of memory, or anyone know, did Mark Harris ever play for Newport County on loan?
I don't believe he did.
The reason why I make that point is because it seems like every player we loan to Newport has never actually, or sell to Newport, has never actually broke into Cardiff City's first team that much. I don't even know if Tom Sand got loaned there, but I know obviously we sold Davis. I can't remember his first name now, but one of the Davises we sold there permanently. But you had Kieran Evans were on loan to Newport, and he unfortunately didn't break through.
You're actually right. So Mark Harris, 2018, 2019.
There we are then, and that's interesting how
goals there.
Because it seems like we just, again, I no disrespect to Newport at all, but if we're being honest, most players who got loaned or sent to Newport never really broke into the first team. Again, I'd be very happy if someone was to prove me wrong in that way. And, it might be the case if it's just some players' primes are going to be later on in the career. And again, some of them, just typical Cardiff fashion, is that, some players just excel in different systems at different clubs. But Halftime Orange says big test now for BBM and squad is how we come back after a short break. Yeah, definitely. Can we slot straight back into it against a decent Stockport team? I mean, they haven't had the best of starts, but they also haven't had a terrible start either. I do rate their manager, and I rate their last season's run as well. What do you reckon? Do you think that this break has benefited us more or done harm, or neither?
I absolutely agree with what Brian said. I think, we were playing in such a high intense sort of style that you're going to need a break, But at the end of the day, players are human. And sometimes just to take them away from that, give them a bit of a rest. I know they've been doing strength and conditioning, but it's a different sort of targeted, and also it gives them time to work with certain players behind the scenes. Okay, so Ruben wasn't in the squad, but I can guarantee the work he's probably done with Brian behind the scenes will reap the rewards for that. So now we had a few players with niggles, Ruben, the goalkeeper as well, Trot, and there's a couple of others they wouldn't obviously share. So it's probably been the best time for it. And yes, we were sort of ploughing teams, but around us, teams were not even really sort of hitting the heights that we were. So why can't we just step back on that thing? I can't see Brian's not the sort of manager that sort of lets players sort of slide on any sort of momentum. I think they'll be there or thereabouts again.
Yeah, I mean, can't really say that you summed it up well there, mate. But I was big on the break sort of thing, thinking it can only be a good thing. I mean, look, there's fear behind stopping the momentum, but I don't think the momentum's lost necessarily. I mean, you think of every team's the same. If they've just won 2 games on the bounce, I mean, we're undefeated at the moment, but even teams that have just won like a game on the bounce or, has just broken into good form, then it's like they're going to be in the same boat as us. Like if you just had 2-3 losses in a row and then you go to a break, you're probably thinking, oh, thank God for that. We need time to recuperate. And then there's the opposite as well, is that even teams have just won a game before the international break and they're thinking, oh, we finally just got a form and now we're having a break. So, it's always easy to think, I suppose, that we're the only team that's going to suffer from this, but every single team is going to get affected by this differently. But I think the main thing is that, it is a big test in terms of if we can do it after, stop-started as it always has been in football, then it shows that we are good enough to storm this league. But again, it's early days, isn't it?
What Brian would have probably done as well is he would have probably broke that first block of, the up to the international breakers. He would have sort of marked where he was. Also gives him a time to reflect on everything that's happened and sort of, get his sort of house in order again. So,
yeah, definitely, mate. Pause, but yeah, Christ, let's go. I read somewhere that the hierarchy is thinking behind appointment. I had to laugh this earlier. Sorry, I put up this appointment. BBM was for the next 10 years, as we have a group of academy lads 7 to 9, and more to come through over the next 4 to 5 years. I mean, look, there's probably some talented 5-6-year-olds that will have to keep him in the club just for 20 years down the line when they turn into their prime. So we need BBM for that reason.
He's not wrong with his comment on the next 4 to 5 years, I can tell you that.
What's that, sorry?
So he's not wrong on his part of the comment regarding the next 4 to 5 years. There is a crop of players over the next, 3 to 4 years, definitely, that are going to be hitting that first team. And, we're all purring over the likes of Colwell and, sort of the Colwell brothers and that sort of thing at the minute. And the next generation are going to be even better as well. And that's not without, and you've got to think of the platform that these guys had to develop. Look at the platform that the next generation have already got behind them.
Yes, this is insane. I've already heard that. Is he 15, 16-year-old? Is he Polish or Ukrainian? That Tank?
Yeah, the young Polish lad, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm gonna call him Tank because I just think he's a legend already because I can't pronounce his full name. To not offend him, but someone like him, I think he's already training with the first team, which is been rumored, and it's insane to think that there's kids that I know they're obviously not playing for team yet, but it's even the first team is like the youth team now. It's when have we seen that before? And you think you'd be absolutely nuts to do that because Peterborough doing a similar thing, and the main difference is possibly, you could say, the quality a bit, but also they're an established League One side by now, and doing that is quite a risky thing if experience hasn't done it for you. But then again, we've let go so many senior players, and a lot of us thought by now we'd still be struggling and conceding late goals, but we've conceded 1 goal from a penalty. You know what I mean? It's just insane.
You're absolutely right.
Job us for goalposts. We will get out of this league this season, and although super tough, if we could get out of the championship next, am I reading this right? Out of the championship next season, I reckon BBM would love a crack at the Prem with us as part of the project. Oh, 100%. I mean, I think that is his, long-term goal. It's every team's long-term goal, isn't it? Regular Premier League place, but I think we've got to be somewhat realistic in terms of the championship. I mean, like you look at the teams like Wrexham now, I think they'll kind of find their place in the championship. And I think their downfall for Wrexham is that because they've got that win and feeling good, yes, it's great. Problem is they're bringing in loads of players who haven't also come up with them. So they're signing all these great talents, but a lot of them are coming towards the latter part of their career. And whilst they can add a lot to the team and have the quality, they don't have the same drive as like these younger players have, because the younger players are the future. You know, they're going to be playing, whether it's for this club or somewhere else. But the main thing is you have that hunger for them for wanting to prove themselves. Already established players, yes, obviously, you know, they're equally as valuable, especially in a team of, you know, such a young team we have. But if we're thinking about the importance of, for example, pushing for promotion, naturally it's not going to be as strong as the younger ones. That's the way I feel about it. Anyway, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that.
And also something you've got to take into consideration as well is how teams grow. And, you know, we look at like the likes of Wrexham and that throw money. Well, the reason FFP is set up the way it is that any of these younger players that sort of grow on, eventually, you know, bigger clubs with bigger bids will buy these players. And that's a reinvestment and a growth again. I think, you know, we are going about it the right way because, you know, you've just hit the nail on the head with Wrexham, you know, but what happens when those sort of players, they can't keep plowing money, whereas Cardiff City, if you were to sell a Ruben for 25 million, you know, I'd assume probably a majority of that will be reinvested in the squad, you know, and I think we are starting to look at a time where, you know, players were, you know, the Adam Matthews going with 250 grand or Ramsey going for £5 million, you know, whereas now we're talking about if we lost any of our players, they're going for premium money. You know, you also know that now Cardiff City, you know, Robertson was a great example of that last year, where they actually invested in the future. Okay, he's not the youngest of players, but he was definitely one that had the ability and also the sort of sell-on value if they did sort of grow. I think that's what Cardiff City are getting very right here. You know, I think we've learned from our mistakes under Malky and places like that, and under Warnock, where we did go up to the Premier, absolutely right, but there was no sort of long-term plan. Whereas now I feel like we're in a position where we could, you know, recuperate quite a few, you know, nice transfer fees, as well as players coming behind it, you know, that could actually step up in the first team from the youth team. So I think now we're going about it the right way, you know, and everything just points as a positive step at this moment in time.
You can't not get excited, can you? It feels you almost feel guilty about getting excited about it because of how long we haven't been able to. But it's got to be, and I think I would have been happy like at the end of the season. I was just thrilled to think like, oh, if we keep Salek and Colwell, that would be amazing. And now we're like all of a sudden we've got all of these youth players. I think Dylan Lawler is one I'm really excited about as well. If he keeps playing and obviously manages minutes, but look. We can't not sell our players for good value now, at least, because of just like how much, you know, how important they are. First team players, they're youth players, but they're also first team. And to think that we used to sell people on the cheap so much it's criminal. But yeah, at the same time, it's like we had players before that were used to probably maybe playing long ball. They were a lot, you know, older as well. The average age of the squad was a lot older, especially under Warnock. And you know, that's not a bad thing in terms of results or personally, but it's just the market value is not going to be there because they've probably just at the end of their prime. Like, you know, I love so many of the former Cardiff players, but if we're being realistic, most of them were looking to run out their contracts and then go back to their home sort of, you know, their home clubs. I mean, think of Bruno Ekwela was one for me who I thought was such an underrated gem that we had, especially in the Premier League, able to defend 2 or 3v1s against Liverpool. But yeah, you know, at the end of the day, I think he went for literally nothing. I think it's something like 500k or less, and he's gone back to his home sort of club. And you know, the fact we got so many homegrown talents now, we're not gonna get that of like he's moving to this club because it's closer to home because they are home. And I think the one other thing as well about if we were to sell, let's say we do sell Dylan Lawler, if we do sell Dylan Lawler anytime soon. Say like to Man United, for example. Okay, so I've heard rumours that he's linked to that club or one of those. He's going to go on loan for his first season, most likely. You know, and he's probably going to be loaned out to a championship club. This is what I'm thinking. The next season after, he might be rotated into the squads. But even then you might have a different manager manage the club. He might look at Dylan Lawler and go like, oh well, I don't really need him now. I'm going to sell him elsewhere. It's just like, you know, you look at that. If they do choose to go to a bigger club, yes, they get paid a bit more, but your game time isn't guaranteed. Right now, your game time isn't guaranteed, but it's it's your home. It's a lot more likely to happen. And I think it would be foolish for any player and the agent to go, yeah, we should go to a Premier League club now. But again, I'm not them, so I can't say, can I?
But also on that, even before it gets to the player, the club have got to accept a bid. We've seen it in the summer. The club have turned down bids for people like Salek and Ruben. You really think when Cardiff City is sort of loitering around the top of the league that they're going to get rid of any of them in January? It's not going to happen. It would take crazy, crazy money to be able to do that.
But again, it's a good situation in another way, isn't it? Like you said before. So yeah. Anyway, I got tons more comments to get through. So let's see. Ian Dalglish, evening. We get promoted. However, Championship and League One teams, both by Colwell, Salek, Ashford, Lawler, Robertson, and Davis. Throw a random figure, 25 mil altogether. How confident in a rebuild? Okay, so you're giving us a scenario here, right? If we sell, basically, we get promoted to the Championship. However, all our best players basically go. Throw around, so 25 mil for altogether. Christ, I think you can get 25 mil for both Colwells, just them two. I don't know. I don't know, because this squad is made for BBM right now, because I think if you sell those players, BBM probably goes as well. I would have thought.
I'm very intrigued though to see the players that BBM would bring in with a bit of money. Look at the likes of Plot and that he's bringing in now. And was it 1.3 million pounds would be his obligation to buy it, or after the loan?
It was 1.8 million euros, I think. So I'm not sure what that converts to, but I think
1.5 then. Sorry, so
something like that. I don't know.
That's crazy. That's crazy, already. And then, and that's just his first transfer window, and it wasn't even a full window that he's had. So. You can imagine the sort of players he could attract with £25 million plus in the Championship. It would be
true.
It's probably one of the few managers I probably would trust with some money, to be fair.
Yeah, no. But let's just spend 11 million on someone like Josh Murphy, Well, to be fair, he was amazing pre-season. You couldn't tell if he was left or right-footed. And then during the season, you couldn't tell if he's left or right-footed because he couldn't dribble with either. But it's a shame, really, about him. BBM seems pretty grounded. I'm sure he's in at least for the duration of his contract. If his passion is developing players, he's in the right place. Yeah, but we've sort of covered that, haven't we? So it's like it is just his right environment. Even in Graham as well, we have played poor teams so far, so I'm not getting carried away I'm not getting carried away. We will have some hard games to come, probably in the Cups. Then we'll have a better idea of how good they are. Now, I will come to you in a sec, but I just want to say we've already played both of the teams who've been recently relegated with us. And, we've played some of the recently promoted teams. Does it get much more difficult than that? Have we played poor? To be fair, I thought Luton were pretty poor considering they, recently were a Championship side. Same with Plymouth. But I don't know who do you have any teams in mind you think will be a really tough test for us? Because I think any game could be that if we're playing away. But I don't think there are many serious competitors other than us.
I think you're the likes of Bradford and that are the teams you're going to be looking out for. But what I would say is that I think we've made them look poor. This league, it's my first experience of this league, but I don't think this league's as bad as I thought it was. But I think what Cardiff City have done is they've hit the ground running. They're always on the front foot, and they've made these teams look as bad as they are. And if you were to sit there and predict a table at the end of the season, you would have had your Plymouths and your Lutons towards the top, with the investment, etc. they've had. And, we've put them to the sword. So, you know what? We're there on merit. And, come the end of the season when these sort of teams go on a run, it's 3 points, whether it's home or away, that we've picked up that, we won't have to worry about later in the season. So, let's get them in early then. As long as it's a win, I don't care how it happens when it happens.
Yeah. If we don't lose, though, I'll happily take a few draws. If it's away games and they're just like that sticky sort of like kind of Stoke away game type matches, I'll happily take a draw now and again. But at the same time, we've got enough quality in that to dominate the teams at least.
Because that was something I did hear about the League One, was that teams towards the top tend to win all their home games, but they draw the away games. They don't really get many away wins. We've got a couple of them already, and
they still get promoted or still get in the playoffs, and it's crazy to think. But maybe it's the same goes. Always win your home games. But to be fair, we have dominant home games. But even when we played Luton away, and Rotherham was away, wasn't it? Or was that home? I think it was. I can't remember now. I think it was away because I was saying, we'll have to get our snorkels and everything. But But either way, the Luton game we played, I felt like we were the home team. You know what I mean? To think that, and so to think when they come to us now, I mean, probably after the window now, and I think they'd probably be a bit more prepared. But I'm not worried about Luton, if you know what I mean, because they didn't have a perfect start like everyone thought they would be still in the league. No one really could say they predicted Cardiff to finish first. As much as we were optimistic about it, I don't think even Cardiff players realise, where we'd be right now. I think we've, done ourselves proud, but again, it's so early. It's still times for us to have a bumpy patch. But if I'm being honest, I'm the fact we can see one goal from a penalty, it gives me confidence in our backline as well to know we've got a solid defence for once.
Absolutely, mate. It's untested times. It's a very, a squad that probably a lot of scouts and a lot of managers are sort of scratching their heads and trying to understand who these players are with the reports because they're so young. But
yeah.
Let's enjoy it. As Cardiff City fans, we've had a pretty shit few years, haven't it? So it's nice it's nice to have some, something to look forward to. It's nice to have a common goal with them, and it even feels like, to some extent, it feels like Brian's as a fan of this club, the way that he acts, walking on the pitch, and I just love it. It's a great time to be a Cardiff City fan, isn't it?
Oh, it is 100%. Just as you said, you got to just enjoy it because we're so privileged to have it now after all the years of drought. But we've got about 10 minutes left. So again, keep your comments coming in, but I'm going to race through these and pick out the best ones. Again, there's still time for super chats if you want your comment read out. I keep saying that because I know some people join late, so I can see the numbers going up. So we have a look about here. I can't remember where's the comment. There we are. Lola miles ahead and better than Kambango. I think he did all right, but if I'm being honest, Lola, I think he's pretty clear. I think he's the kind of way that Bellamy wants him playing, doesn't he? He kind of just naturally fits in.
You're absolutely. You're only as good as your last game, aren't you? And I think Lawler deserves. He should have probably been given the start against Canada as well. To be fair, but
I think that was managing minutes, maybe. I don't know.
No, absolutely. It's only a benefit for Cardiff City, isn't it?
Yeah, Aaron, you look like a size social media photo. To be fair, you were the same shirt, aren't you? Oh,
I've got a custom one next week, though. It's fine.
If Carlin did managers, is Rob still in the chat? Oh yes, by Steve. Oh god, yeah. If you get the members, if you become a member, you get exclusive rights to all the juicy talk behind the scenes, all the inside jokes as well that some of you might not understand. I still can't remember. Yeah, I can't wait. That's the one, isn't it? It's probably spelled something like that. And Manny Barn as well, Christ, just to think that, yeah. And yeah, Paul, you were right earlier. Thank you for the confirmation on the new Paul. 2018 doesn't seem that far away, but it's like 7, 8 years now. Well, yeah. Oh, Christ, yeah. Back when they were a non-league club. Who else have we got? After watching Steve, who haven't I read out yet? Oh, hello. 420, either that Steve or series of incredible ref and linesman decisions. Oh, hang on, Steve is in reference to this. Sometime I reckon we will play a club where rubber the green is with them. They will nick a goal and we will hit the woodwork 9 times, get 20 corners, etc. But nothing will go for us. Seen this happen. I think the best person to get advice from on how to hit the woodwork is Omar Niasse in the Premier League. I've never seen a striker almost score so many times. He was way better than Medine, but this guy hit the woodwork, I swear, every single match he played. And I felt bad for him. But yeah, what do you reckon? There's bound to be one of those games, at least, or where the ref just gives an absolute blunder of a decision.
You're absolutely right. But if we're hitting woodwork 9 times and 20 corners, we've had a great game, haven't we? We just haven't hit the net. And I was probably thinking, how have we not won that, as opposed to, yeah, we've lost that game, So
yeah,
it's going to happen, and it will. We'll lose some games, but
it already has happened, doesn't it? Really. So
look at the Port Vale game. Felt like a loss, didn't it? But look how we went on after it, So
exactly, mate. Jonathan's, but yeah, Josh Murphy was decent in the Prem, but didn't. Yeah, that was the thing. I thought he was better in the Premier League than the Championship. I'm not sure how much you remember of him, but it just seemed like I don't know what it was. He just, as soon as he got the Championship, couldn't dribble anymore. And he's doing pretty good things now at Oxford, wasn't it? And this Portsmouth now, I think.
he's very much like Chris Willock. He plays better
Yeah.
in the space behind the thing. I don't think he's defensively very good. I think
No.
when he's running at people and attacking on his day, I think he did really well. Got a few goals, didn't he?
He didn't like to defend, but yeah, he could
Very
curl one in, could he?
Very inconsistent.
I Justin Ruben injured. I did hear in his press conference by Murphy saying it's his first day training back today, I think it was, or something like that. So I'm not sure if that's true or I don't know.
Yeah, Brian did say that, but I would say he's playing a few games.
Okay, well, I'll see, but I think there's no harm in resting him, I suppose, for a couple of games. I mean, obviously, he's a crucial part of the squad, but at least, you've got some depth in now. I mean, you've got the Omari Kelly one, which we haven't even mentioned yet, and Gabriel Osho, obviously different position, but, to think that we have got some quality on the bench to bring off as well, it gives you a bit of peace of mind. I think, there's plenty of ways in which the system can work without Ruben Colwell, but if I'm going to be honest, anytime both Coles are fit, I would play them, because I just feel like there's so much energy to them both. And I think it's just such a wholesome thing for two brothers to play alongside each other, assisting each other and everything.
I would think that Kellyman probably fits in as Salek's replacement during games at the minute while he's getting back.
You think?
He can. Brian made a comment that he can play. There was when asked where he could play, and he alluded to that he can play as a 9. And I thought, watching some of the highlights and some of the feedback that I've received from him, and see he could probably do a job for Cardiff there.
I've seen a few highlights from him, but I only had a quick look. But it looks, you can tell he has played a bit of football for Chelsea for a top club. I think it's just it's more like their vision and mentality. It's like the vision with Lola, for example. He just knows to play that kind of pass, and it's like. Is certain like awareness levels that some players that just don't have that football IQ, but others do, and they're so refreshing because before it was kind of dumbed down football. We just would kick and rush, wouldn't it? Or it was like a counter attack where you would absorb all the pressure, like a lot of teams in League One do now. It's a 4-5-1 or a 5-4-1 in defence. I mean, Oxford did against us last year, and it worked really well. And it's just a horrible kind of football to watch. But it gets results a lot of times because the counter attacks is what kill the teams. But I think it's so nice and refreshing to see that we're playing football that's actually attractive to watch.
And what's nice to see as well, and it's every Saturday now, is that when you're the opposing manager, you've got to try and guess what Cardiff City are picking. And okay, Salek tends to be a starting forward, and you're playing Ruben at 10, but outside of that, it can be anyone. And they're all in good form. How do you pick your two sitters? How do you pick, the wingers either side of it? And they all offer different things, don't they? So it's going to be the same Saturday again. I think we can't even pick the team half the time.
I know it's there's so many different combinations to pick. I think the midfield is always an interesting conversation topic because we don't seem to have that number 6 destroyer anymore. It seems like we play Wintle, who is a bit more of a modern number 6. Let's say I think before your number 6 would be that. Massive, well, not a massive guy, but he was always never afraid to put a 2-footer in or kind of your Brexit player, just like never afraid to get stuck in. But no, nowadays you see it's interesting to think that whilst we don't have the classic number 6 like that, or we don't have 2 tall centre backs like we used to with Bamba and Morrison, and again you can't compare them to the modern centre backs, but it shows us you don't have to have that stereotypical person, that number. I think to be fair, players like Wintle and I can't remember else, Turnbull, they kind of go under the radar a bit, and they're also crucial parts. And I gotta be honest, I didn't rate Wintle before, and the fact when Bullock tried to play him as a number 10, it just clearly didn't work, did it? I remember Wintle be the front of the press for Bullock. It was interesting to say the least. But
those two sitters, you got Joel, you've got like you just said, obviously Wintle and Turnbull, and not one of those players deserves to be dropped. They're all playing well, and they're all very different. I love what Turnbull's doing at the minute. With how he speeds up the play and creates. I love how Joel's that. Getting himself stuck in box to box. Very enthusiastic, and I like Wintle how he sort of sits and covers and sort of that range of passing. But it's just you just can't moan about it. But it's. If one of them sits out, you can feel you can feel for those players now, and it's great to see that we've got those options and stuff, and players are coming in and they're being left out when they're playing so well.
Yeah, someone's got to miss out, though, isn't it? It's the nature of the game. I think that's one of the reasons why he wanted that really tight-knit squad. He didn't want to add too many players. And at first, I was thinking, what is he on about? Like, we need the players to get to the season. But at the same time, you said you can always rely on some of the youth coming in as well. But I think instead of having, like, if we want to include all our midfielders, Aaron, this is a way of doing it. We go with a midfield version of the Mick McCarthy football. Instead of having 5 centre-backs, we have 5 midfielders on. So we play I'm trying to think how it's going to work now. We'll play a 3-5-2 and just play all midfielders in the middle. Hey, it's been done before. I'm not saying it wins games, but it stops you losing games by more than 1 goal. Let's just say that. Can't recommend that strategy, though. A couple of comments to finish us off. I can't leave this one out from Jumpers for Goalposts. I keep repeating this question. Who in this league is going to beat us if we retain this consistency? We're still only at approximately 70%. It's scary. Yeah, I think, we haven't completely turned on the heat against any teams yet. I think Plymouth game was maybe the closest to it.
I think the only team that will beat us is ourselves.
It would be us, wouldn't it?
I genuinely believe as long as we keep our feet on the floor, as long as we have the same mentality, we don't sort of get too carried away. I don't see that from Brian. I just think if he keeps the players on the floor and, and the fans still sort of, are humble along this path, I reckon we're going to do very, very well.
Oh, 100%. Just before you finish it, guys, get your score predictions in now. I know there'll probably be another one show tomorrow where you do it. But let me know your score predictions. I remember Suze was right last time when we did the Plymouth game, predicted 4-0. So well done to you. I know you got a bit of praising from Sai as well. So Suze, if you're listening, I haven't seen the comments tonight unless I've missed you out. But let us know what the score is going to be because now. Ian's got his in. He's saying 2-2. What do you reckon? What's your score predictions?
Me, I think I said the same last week. I reckon it's going to be 3-1.
Yeah.
I can't not see us scoring goals at the minute. I think everywhere you look, there's goals all over the pitch. And I just think, eventually I think we will concede. It's just natural. But, we've got the octopus in goals. It seems to be defying all laws of gravity and God. But literally, I just think we step on this again. And I think it's just another example of why Cardiff City deserve where they are in the league at the moment.
So you think that we're gonna concede our first goal from open play on this game? Do you think?
I think it's going to be a corner. To be fair, I don't know why. I think it's going to be a bit of a crap goal, but it's also going to be a time where Cardiff City are going to probably show why they deserve to be the way they are. There's been times where we go behind, etc., or we've had to sort of dig it out when we're not looking like we're playing well, but. I just think when we get 1 goal, we get another one and we just get another one. We put teams to the sword at the minute, and Brian's expectation is you go for it again. He doesn't sit back, does he?
No, Christ, no. I'm gone.
I do feel like it's going to be a couple of different scorers this week.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see get people. Keane Ashford would be good. I think he scored yet. He scored
a really good goal, didn't he, at the CCS?
I completely forgot. Yeah, I remember that screamer now. But I reckon I'll say 3-0. But I don't know why. I get a feeling that Stockport will have someone sent off, which will allow the floodgates to open. Because I think we still do so much. We got so much debt of poor decisions made against us. I go all the way back to the Chelsea game. I'm still salty about that Premier League Chelsea game home when I actually was at the game and I was in line with it. I could see it. It was so frustrating. I still think we'll do a lot of good karma. Whether it'll come, I don't know. Maybe it's just the curse of a Welsh team in an English league. I think it'll be 3-0. I think they'll have someone sent off early and the floodgates will just open and it'll be amazing. I hope I'm right. Oh, Steve says 3-0 as well. I'm hoping because you're putting that as a score as Stockport and then we're away. So Gawain says 1-1. 420 says 2-0 City. Clean sheet, baby. Yeah, hopefully again with octopus in goals. 2-0. And finally I'll go through this last one. The lineup that Paul would have is Tro, NG, Fit. Oh, NG's getting a feature, is he? NG, Fish, Osho, Bagan, Wintle, Colwell, Turnbull. Is Turnbull fit? Is he? I'm not sure. Yes, is he?
Yeah. They said they're out 2 weeks, didn't they? And
yeah. I hadn't heard any updates, so I just assumed he was sitting longer. But then you got Willock, Salek, Ashford, That looks like more than 11 to me, and it's just my eyes. 3-0 Cardiff City when he's going as well. And Phil Jones has said 3-1 to us. And do you reckon halftime I'll just put Osho and Kellyman debut, maybe off the bench, starting?
Yeah, I believe so, off the bench, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Kellyman will definitely come off the bench.
Yeah.
With 30 to go, he's what they said. He's ready for selection, just not fully fit. So the only way you get that fitness is by games out.
Exactly. Yeah, I reckon we'll be 1-0 up by 70 minutes, and then we'll put on Osho and go to a back 5 then, and then just see the. Sorry, no, I'm taking the mic now. Anyway, guys, thank you all for joining me so much. Thank you, Aaron, as well, for joining me again. I feel like it's our show now, isn't it? It's our show, the Terrace Take. But no, I appreciate that. He's scoring number 2 on his day. He's scoring number 2. Wow, okay, here we are then. I'm not sure who that's referring to. Is that Kellyman or? But yeah. So I just Thanks all for joining, and we'll see you all soon. It'll be. Well, I might not be back tomorrow, but you'll have daily shows again. And also, I know I haven't been active in the Discord much, but on match days, I do kind of give my predictions, match ratings, and it'd be a lovely bit of fun just to have everyone disagree with me and what they think about it. So do know that I am active on match days as well. Apart from that, thank you all, and we'll see you all soon.
Good night. Thank you.
Rascal Beats.
For your Caesar, Cardiff City, ride with me for your Caesar.